This is my 7th review. It is an ongoing series at this point. This is officially a show. I should really think of some kind of name for it at this point, don't you think? I'll work on that later. Have you ever bought any music just on a whim? Like you're browsing through a store, looking through their CDs with nothing particular in mind, and you pick out a CD from some band that you aren't familiar with, but you go there and you look at it and go, that looks interesting. So you just pick it up and buy it. Maybe it's cheap. Maybe it's on sale. Maybe it is at some kind of other deal with a bunch of other CDs you could buy or something similar to that. So if it isn't that good, it's not that big of a deal to begin with. This is how I discovered the subject of today's review. I was browsing through half-price books, looking through all the different CDs that they had available, when I picked out this one particular CD and went, that looked interesting. I flipped it over, saw the company that put it out, and said, I think I'll buy this. That band is Divine Sin. Divine Sin formed in 1989 in Sweden. They released their first demo entitled Dying to Live the following year. This demo contained 3 tracks as well as an intro. They would follow it up with a second demo in 1991 entitled Years of Sorrow. Their third and final demo, called Resurrection, was released in 1993. Honestly, finding any information at all about this band online is very, very difficult. This band is so obscure that even the Metal Archives does not seem to know much about them and can't even confirm or deny if they still exist. Following their third demo, they were signed to Black Mark Productions, a label named after Bathory's third album, though not run by anybody in Bathory. They entered the studio, and in 1995, they released their very first album. This album is the subject of today's review. Today we are taking a look at Winterland by Divine Sin. The opening track on this album is called Gates of Everbay, or Gates of Everby, I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce it. It immediately hits you with a heavy and fast riff that is backed by some nice double bass. There are 2 distinct vocal styles on this album. One of them is a fairly unique, deep growl, and the other one is a very deep, clean style of vocals that can almost be operatic at times. The guitar work on this track and throughout the album as a whole is noticeably quite good. This song also has some light acoustic work here and there, which is a very nice touch and is prevalent throughout this album. The guitar solos really show off the skill of the guitarists in this band very, very well. They are expertly crafted and very, very good. The second song on this album is called Children of Conformity. It starts off with a bass intro, and you all know that I love that. This is the first track on this album to use the clean vocal style that I mentioned earlier. Clean vocals in this track are backed by both electric guitar riffing and some acoustic playing as well. This song breaks down at about a minute in, and then it gradually builds back up with a variety of more and more complex riffs. Once again, the guitar leads on this track are just as awesome as they were on the first. The third song on this album is called Dead Again. Throughout its entirety, it features fairly complex and unusual riffing, as well as some very nice footwork from the drummer. It's notable that this song does not have any guitar solos, whereas the earlier ones did. The fourth song on this album is called Memories, and it starts off with a very heavy and awesome guitar part that is backed by an equally heavy and awesome drum beat. At about 55 seconds in, you get to a clean vocal passage on this song that is backed by an acoustic guitar. This song gets back to the top-notch guitar soloing that were prevalent in the earlier songs and was missing from the previous one. This even managed to get slightly symphonic towards the end. Track 5 is called All Alone. It starts off with a complex guitar riff that fades into an equally complex bass riff and heads back into the guitar riff. Throughout parts of this song, at least, this is one of the fastest on the album. There is a part that is entirely bass and acoustic driven that is just beautiful. And this part leads into one of the best solos on the album as a whole. And that says a lot given how good the guitar work is throughout. The last minute of this song is the best part of it, with a heavy guitar riff backed by the band chanting All Alone. It's awesome. Track 6 of this album is called Twilight's Dream. It starts off with the bass intro, then kicks into the guitar riff that changes and gets more complex the longer it goes on. You won't want this part to end because it's phenomenal. The drum fills on this particular track are noticeably good. At about a minute and 45 seconds into this song, it kicks into another very complex and fast riff that is just awesome and fun to listen to. This section leads into another fantastic solo. The best part of this song, however, starts about 3.5 minutes into it with an immensely heavy riff that is just awesome. The song actually managed to fade out as the band continues to play this riff. The 7th track on this album is actually the title track for the album. It starts off with a beautiful acoustic intro. This acoustic intro gives way to the main riff. It slows down at about 1.5 minutes in with an acoustic section. This leads into another great solo and leads back into the main riff of the song. The outro to this song is another superb moment on this album that you will definitely want to check out. The 8th song on this album is called Years of Sorrow. It's got a very heavy intro riff that is backed by some excellent footwork from the drummer. At 5 minutes and 42 seconds in length, this is the longest song on the album. The riff at about 2 minutes and 10 seconds into this really ups the heaviness of this particular track quite a bit. This song uses 2 vocal tracks to great effect, with one being clean and the other being the growl, both playing simultaneously. The solo on this song is played over an electric acoustic passage with echoes behind it that is just fantastic and beautiful. The solo mix speeds extremely well as well. However, despite being the longest song on this album, it does feel like it kind of ends abruptly. Track 9 on this album is called Endless Sleep. It starts with an electric acoustic intro that has an awesome echoing effect on it. The vocal portion of this song starts off with the clean vocals first instead of the growl. The drum fills on this song are great, as are the guitar solos. The 10th song on this album is called My Best Nightmare. It mixes clean vocals and growls to great effect once again. Although this portion of the song is very brief, it has another great solo and another great acoustic passage as well. The solo keeps going as the heavy guitars kick in once again. There is even a brief instance of dual soloing on this track, and this song has a great acoustic outro. The last song on this album is called In the Wake of Perfection. The song starts off with a ripping solo that gives way to awesome and complex riffing, backed by equally awesome drum work. This song contains one of the heaviest and fastest riffs on the album as a whole. This is a great track and a great way to close out an excellent album. Divine Sin is by far the most obscure band that I have covered so far in these reviews. I talk to metalheads all the time on things like Facebook and forums, and I am yet to meet anybody who's actually heard of these guys. So let me say this album is an absolute hidden gem, and I am so glad that I picked this album up at random. It is great. Having said that, Divine Sin is a band that is very hard to define and fit into any given genre. There are elements of thrash metal, there are melodic elements, there are elements of death metal, and there are elements of prog, all mixed into one fantastic album. This album is honestly a pretty unique beast, and I can't say that I've ever heard anything like it before. This is a fairly complex piece done by a group of incredibly talented musicians. It comes off as a little bit proggy, but never actually sounds pretentious. It does an excellent job of showing off the incredible talents of every single member involved throughout various points in the album. No man is left behind on this one. It's also worth noting that this does not sound like a first-time effort. This sounds like a band who has had the time to let their composition skills and their writing skills grow and mature over a couple of albums, despite the fact that this is their first album. This might be the result of the fact that they had 3 demos before this to perfect their sound. If you can find this album, and that's not an easy thing to do, I would recommend picking it up. This album is great. I absolutely love it, and I think you probably will too. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I have done a whole series of these reviews before. Click here to give a watch to my review of the album Sanity Obscure by the technical thrash metal band Believer from Pennsylvania. And click here to watch my review of Final Sign of Evil by the German thrash metal band Sodom. Thank you everybody for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe down below. I would greatly appreciate it. I would also appreciate it if you could share this video and help me get more views and viewers. Thanks everybody for watching, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye everybody.